mental. What up, everybody? Pat Flynn here. Thank you so much for joining me today in SPI episode number 24. This month, as a reminder, is all about books, and we're talking about some certain books that I've read recently that have been great. And I actually have a book club at patsbookclub.com that you can check out. Totally free. Every month I just email out a new book that I've read. Oftentimes I'll get early access to books that are coming out. Authors like to send me books, which is pretty cool, and I read them as much as I can. And I send emails out to ones that are about ones that are great. And so you can check that out again at patsbookclub.com. Today we're talking about Azul Terronez's book, The Art of Apprenticeship. Now, you may or may not have heard this book before. For those of you who are in the SPI community, you might know Azul. He was an attendee at me and Chris Tucker's one-day business breakthrough event, twice actually. And actually, there's an interesting story about Azul the first time he came, because when he signed up to go to this event that me and Chris Tucker put on, he didn't have a business, he didn't have a book or any idea of what he was going to do or even talk about in his hot seat in our mastermind format session. And between the time he signed up and when he got to the event, he actually wrote this entire book all on his own, using a lot of the knowledge based on his teaching skills. He's a teacher. He was a principal at a school in Texas at one point. And The Art of Apprenticeship is a great example of just somebody who just really sat down and put everything into this. And it turned into a best-selling book in a couple of categories on Amazon as well, which is really awesome to see him do. And now he's helping a lot of people through the type of content that's in here. So we're going to talk a little bit about Azul's book and get into some of the themes here. So this book, of course, is about apprenticeship, and there's many facets to that. You know, how to find a mentor, how to be a great mentee, and work your way. Really, the subtitle sums it up greatly. It's how to hack your way into any industry, land a kick-ass mentor, and make a killing doing what you love. And I love this theme because, you know, we're kind of going back to that age where we find somebody who has a skill, and that person is happy to teach somebody and kind of bring them up the ranks and learn in that old school way, you know, with like blacksmiths and back in that sort of day. We're kind of getting back into that era, but now with technology involved, it just makes it very more interesting. And we have a lot more ways to connect with each other and learn from each other as well. And so this book is great. It's broken down into themes, and every chapter could essentially stand on its own and be its own book, really, if you wanted it to be. But I love this one. This is chapter 6, where he talks about hack your learning. And there's a specific subsection here, which is be like a kindergartner. Now, my son, just a couple of days ago, he went to kindergarten for the first time. Now, he went to preschool, so he was kind of cool and had some friends in kindergarten already, so he didn't cry for the first 2 months like he did in preschool. But I love this thought about being a kindergartner. And, you know, I think with Picasso, he had a quote about the fact that, you know, we kind of lose our creativity as we grow up. I don't remember the quote exactly. Maybe Caleb will put it up here and you can read it there because I don't remember it off the top of my head. But, you know, be like a kindergartner. You know, kindergartners, they're curious and they're very honest and they kind of just go for it, right? They don't hold anything back. Actually, just yesterday, I interviewed a kid named Britton. He's 10 years old. He's developing an application. He's designing it all on his own. He's come up with a lot of the UI and the UX and even some of the wireframes for this. And he's going to hand it over to a developer. And in talking with him, I could just, you know, his brain, it's a kid's brain, but that's why it was so good. And that's why the game that he's creating is amazing. And so I got to talk with him for 30 minutes and help him out as he's going through. But I love the way he was thinking. And I want you to think about some significant things that may have happened to you back when you were that age and kind of what has happened since then that has maybe stopped you from thinking creatively in that way or actually pursuing your dreams. And so that's one of the first sections that really stood out to me. And of course, it relates to me very much because my son just started to go to kindergarten too. So tell me who said this quote. I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work. Thomas Edison. And I love that way of thinking. This is how Azul opens up chapter 3, which is called The Art of Failure. And it's weird. It's kind of an interesting title because failing to us normally is bad. It's terrible. We're not good enough and those types of things. But the art of failure, meaning there's a way to go about it in a way that can actually help you, and that's creative. And that is actually learning from your mistakes. And we all know this, but we don't practice it as much as we should. And Azul goes into a lot of great examples here from his own life where he's learned from some of his mistakes. And I love this. And again, this is a great book that I'm going to share, or have actually shared a couple chapters with my son already, going back to my son. This is the time in his life when he needs to know that failing is okay. We're brought up to understand that failing is bad. Failing is just not yet. And there's an art to it. It's learning from your mistakes, understanding what worked, what didn't, so you don't do those things again. True failure, in my opinion, is working on something, hitting a brick wall, and then going back to where you started. You don't want to do that. you hit that wall, you try to figure out a way to solve that problem, and that's what's going to help you move forward. And in terms of apprenticeship, it's kind of understanding what it is you're good at and what it is you're not good at, and finding other people in your life as well to help you through those situations and help you improve on the skills that you know will help you reach your goal too. Now, a lot of this book is very much what happens in the brain, but he also includes a lot of information in terms of how to find a mentor. And there's 7 steps he gives you. I'm going to read these steps off to you right now. So number 1, and I'm not going to go too much into detail here, but you will get the gist here. Number 1, be a giver, not a taker. So if you're looking to find a mentor, you don't want to just take and take and take from that person. You actually want to serve that person, help them in some way, shape, or form. And he gives a whole list here of ways to add value to that person. So, one thing you could do quickly is just contribute to their tribe. You can help the community that surrounds them, either virtually or in person, or make something worth sharing for that person who you're looking to get mentorship from. This is really important. We've all heard about the power of mastermind groups. Finding a mentor is just as, if not more, important. Number 2, create your own digital apprenticeship and share with your leader what you're doing. It just shows you, and in digital because it's a lot easier to set up, but it just shows your mentor, your potential mentor, that you are an action taker. You are understanding and in this particular niche and helping out, and you want to learn even more and become better. That person is more likely to, after seeing how much work you've put in, help you get even further. I love this one. Number 3, very simple, imitate greatness. Not copy, not plagiarize, but imitate greatness. Study the habits of great leaders and do what they do. Imitation is one of the first steps to growing as a learner. And this is obviously something that, again, children do. That's how they learn. They learn from watching other people and they fail, but they keep going. That's how we walk. We don't start running from day one. We first learn how to crawl, and then we get up, and then we see other people walking. We want to walk too, and then you learn as you stumble along. And as long as you're falling forward, you are always making progress. Number 4, be humble, be a beginner. I truly, truly believe this one. It's bothersome when I see people who are trying to learn from others who feel like they're better than everybody else, or who feel like that they're entitled to something. Be humble and understand that when you're a beginner, it's okay to ask dumb questions. People are so afraid to ask dumb questions. There are no dumb questions. The only dumb question is the one that you have still in your head that you don't know the answer to. So go out there and find the people who are going to help you find those answers or help give you the answer. And there's a quote by Colin Wright of ExileLifestyle.com who says, "Be humble, allow yourself to look ignorant, and ask dumb questions." Number 5, this is a great tactical strategy. Connect with the second in command. So maybe the person you're looking to get mentorship from, they're super busy. And I have a great example of this. When I wanted to get coaching for my speaking, one of my idols out there in the speaking world is Nancy Duarte. And she's helped a lot of people like Steve Jobs with their presentations and things like that. But she was way up there and I couldn't really connect with her yet. I didn't know her. I didn't have a network that kind of was connected with her. But I got connected with a guy named Mike Paccione, who is kind of somebody who works for her. And he taught me so much. He was my coach, and he helped me become the speaker that I am today. So you can connect with the second in command and get a lot of the same value that you would get from that mentor that you do look up to. Here's a good one. You might be asking, well, how do I ask for a mentor? Well, number 6, don't say, "Will you be my mentor?" People are generous, but they are leery of a commitment that seems to be forever. And I love this, and I'm reading this word for word. Rather, ask for some help with a specific question or seek advice in some way from the members of the community that the leader supports. Leaders watch the followers. Leaders watch the followers of their tribe closely, and they can see if you are a part of the group just to take, or if you are there to give and learn. So going back to number 1, give, provide value. Your audience, that mentor's audience might take notice and might bring that word up to the top to share that you are somebody worth actually mentoring or actually paying attention to. Number 7, understand that your doubts and your fears are actually a sign that there's something amazing on the other end. If you didn't have fear, if you didn't have doubt, that would actually be a little worrisome because it means that you wouldn't actually care. So look for those signs, those fears, those doubts, that voice in your head. If that pops in your head, that's a sign that you need to keep moving because there is something amazing on the other end. And in my life, when I've tried to do something new, I've always been met with that resistance, as Stephen Pressfield calls it, in the War of Art, And every time I've come across something like that, speaking on stage, my podcast, putting my face on camera, I've always been met with that resistance. And every time I've busted through that, it has helped out in my business and in my personal life in ways that I would have never imagined. So keep busting through those fears. Look for them. Those are signs that what it is you're doing is right. So keep going. And again, thank you to Azul for writing this book. It's great. It's fairly short. It's a very quick read. It's about 100 pages. You can find it on Amazon.com. Just go to smartpassiveincome.com/art of apprenticeship. smartpassiveincome.com/art of apprenticeship. Go ahead and check it out there. Thank you again to all of you who are watching this. I look forward to serving you in the next episode of SPI TV, where we talk about another book here in the episodes here in September. And also, don't forget, you can go to patsbookclub.com, where I send an email to you every single month with a new book that I'm reading and why I like it, what I enjoy about it, and some tips for you coming out of that book, just like we did here today. So again, patsbookclub.com. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.